Welcome back to Q&A. Joining us now from the UN is Carol Bellamy. She's the Executive Director of UNICEF. And also joining us, two delegates from the summit, Emina Garvas, a 17-year-old delegate from Denmark, and Dayo Israel Abdullahi. He's 16 years old and from Nigeria. I think everything's sorted right now, both of you. Let me start with Emina, you first. What's the main message that you want to get out to the world leaders?
Well, I have been through a war in Bosnia where we had to leave the country when I was 7 years old, and it was very confusing for a little child like me because I was only 7 years old and I didn't even know what war meant, and I reacted very bad, and I had anger that I was afraid that I would never come back to my country and never see my family again, and that's something that shouldn't be happened. I think that maybe there should be some more information in school about how children can react on these, how children can react when war comes up, and how they can, what we can do to escape, to get out of the country alive, because I didn't know if I was going to survive. From day after day, I just lived in anger and just hoped to survive. So by coincidence, we ended up in Denmark, where I started all over again by going to school and was trying to have my childhood again and try to play. So I think the Danish people, they were very good by giving us a new home and to start all over again.
Well,
so
I'd like to get Dayo in on this as well. What's been your message?
Excuse me. My message to the world leaders is that I just want the world leaders to appreciate children, to know that children are more important in a country. If you need good governance, if you involve children, you're going to have good governance. You're going to have a country full of stability, full of peace. Children have the message of peace in their heart. When you involve children in everything you do, everything will work well. And I'd like the world leaders to consider children participation, to consider having a World Children's Parliament, having children's parliament in every country so that the voice of children can be heard. I'm looking forward to the day when we have children's parliament everywhere and the United Nations of Children. When any country that wants to take a decision will say, oh, I've gone to the House of the Lords, then let me now go to the House of Children, like the UK.
Carol Bellamy, that's some ideas coming out there from Dayo. World leaders are listening to children, young children, like the both of them. Do you have the confidence that they're going to act on what they're hearing?
Well, I hope so. I mean, the message from the kids has been very clear about lots of promises in the past, but make sure you keep these promises, because you haven't kept your promises in the past. The kids, you know, there are more than 250 kids who are here who are actually official delegates to this first ever UN Special Session on Children. So they're all in all of the meetings. It's not as though they're off in one room and you don't hear them. They're not being only seen this time. They're actually being heard.
Emina, what are some of the problems that you face when growing up that we may not know about?
Well, like I said before, education is very important. When you come to another country, you lose some years by not going to school and not have an opportunity to play again and to start all over. And I think it's very important to give kids this opportunity. And this special session on children is a great opportunity for us children also to meet. And I think it's amazing that we can meet such a place, even though there's so many wars in this world, and international, we can meet and talk about it and try to come up with some of the solutions. And something that we also said in our message after the special session on children was, everybody's saying that we are the future, but it's also important to remember that we also are a present. So.
And in that present, Dayo, give us an idea of the kind of issues and things you've had to face growing up and what you've seen the people around you having to grapple with as well.
Yeah, I lived in a surrounding that has no respect for the child, the right of the child. I lived in Nigeria, in the city of Lagos, where the right of the child has been signed but has not been constitutionally approved. has been signed and ratified, but it's not been respected. I've been abused by people, by adults, by parents, by friends, by many people like that. They don't believe I have a right to say. They don't believe I have a right to vote. Even recently, I had an experience recently. I was in a program for human rights activists and for electoral policies. And then I told the moderator that I would like to give a sentence. And he told me that, no, you're a child, you're not yet 18, you can't vote. Since you can't vote, you can't talk on political issues. I said, that doesn't matter. Now you are the moderator, you are contesting for the president of this country. That means that when you get to the post of the president, when the children come on to you that, oh, we want you to have this issue for children, we want you to sign this for children, you tell us, oh, because we didn't vote you in, you can't listen to us. That's the issue we face. They believe, oh, because we can't do this to them, we are not useful. Because they believe we are not useful.
Carol Bellamy, there are a lot of issues that children are faced with today. Some of them Dayo and Emina pointed out. As UNICEF goes about its work around the world, what are some of the obstacles or the challenges that you face?
Well, clearly the challenge is to improving conditions for children, creating a world fit for children. Poverty. The issue of poverty is still extraordinary. Of the 2 billion people who live in poverty, the majority, and that's about less than $2 a day, the great majority are women and children. Secondly, and it's been raised here, the issue of war. The impact of war and the face of war has changed. The victims today are largely civilian, not military anymore, and largely women and children. Third, and not in order, but another major obstacle, the pandemic of HIV/AIDS is virtually reversing the gains that have been made for children around the world. And finally, I'd mention gender. Girls still, on balance, are treated less well than boys.
The issue of war, obviously a big focus, as you say, at the summit this year. Also the issue of money, though. I mean, a lot of people saying that if only as much money was put toward helping children and alleviating their plight as to world leaders putting money in arms, the world would be a better place for children. How do you marry those two elements here?
What's interesting, yesterday at the opening of this first ever, as I said, General Assembly special session on children, 2 young people chosen by the young people themselves at the Children's Forum spoke. One of the lines sticks in my mind. They said, don't consider us an expenditure, consider us an investment. I think that marries together the financing issue. If you really want a return on investment, even if you're in a poor country with a small budget, you get more by investing in basic services, basic health, basic education. Make sure your kids are healthy, make sure they get an education, you'll have a healthier economy.
Don't consider us an expenditure, consider us an investment. Emina, just coming off from that thought, do you think that what you say and what others like you say at this Children's Summit is going to be heard? And do you trust that world leaders will take what you say seriously?
Well, I hope so. I think that they really are hearing us, because otherwise they wouldn't have done this for us. Because this is our chance to speak up, and this is our chance to say what we mean and what we can do together with the adults to make this world fit for children. So I really hope that they will follow these children's rights. And
Dayo, something else that's interesting that strikes me from what you said earlier about what it's like for you growing up in Nigeria, in Lagos, and I'm just wondering, what's it like for you, or how do you view children like Emina, for instance, or other children that have grown up in the United States or in Western Europe? How do you view them and the kind of issues and troubles that they need to sort out as opposed to what you are confronted with?